is the practice test for trig inverses and miscellaneous. You know, we have some miscellaneous trig topics we're getting into. But here for trig inverses, we're going to start by just graphing the inverses. Now you can have these memorized, which is lovely, or you can start by making tables that go with sign. This order is sign, cosine, and tangent. So the order on your test may be different, but before I do each, what we did in class was we made a little table. So we did kind of like a little XY table, and we're going between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2 for sine. So at negative pi over 2, sine is negative 1. At 0, sine is 0. And at pi over 2, sine is 1. And what we know about inverses is that your x and y's just switch. So for sine to the negative 1 of x, or arc sine, our points are going to be negative 1, negative pi over 2, 0, 0, and 1 pi over 2. So negative 1, negative pi over 2, 0, 0, and 1 pi over 2. And make it as nice as you can. So our domain here, we're going from negative 1 to 1, including those endpoints. And the range is negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, including those endpoints. So you can lean on those tables in your unit circle knowledge, or you can have that graph memorized. Either one is fine. You have to know where you're going between the where on the unit circle you're looking. And remember, for sine, on the unit circle you're looking here between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Cosine, of course, is different because it can't be that easy. For cosine, our values are between 0 and pi. Remember, for all of these, we want some negatives, some positives, and a continuous function. So, consistent with what we did for sine, I'm going to do that for cosine. So we're going 0 to pi, 0, pi over 2, and pi. At 0, cosine is 1. At pi over 2, cosine is 0. And at pi, cosine is negative 1. And then if we switch those for arc cosine, or cosine to the negative 1, we get 1, 0, 0 pi over 2, and negative 1 pi. And of course, those aren't in the nicest order in the table, but we can work with it. So at negative 1, our output, our y value is pi. At 0, our y value is pi over 2. And at 1, our y value is 0. Our domain here is negative 1 to 1, including our endpoints. And our range is 0 to pi, including our endpoints. Just switching our x and y's and getting a continuous value. Again, there our values came from 0 to pi. For sine inverse, we were looking negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. And now we're going to do tangent. So for tangent, what we have to remember, a couple of things. First, we had asymptotes. If you think about what a tangent XY table would look like, we had asymptotes at negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. And those asymptotes were vertical asymptotes. So what happens when we take the inverse? Well, those become horizontal asymptotes at negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Hopefully you remember that from inverses with rational functions. And at 0, tangent is 0. The only other thing I'm really going to look at on this graph is that your graph is increasing. So you want it to be something like that. Our domain here is all reals. That should make sense if you think about the graph of tangent. The graph of tangent, the range was all reals. And our range of our inverse here is going to be from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, not including those endpoints. So be careful when you're doing the domain and range here, we're all parentheses. Whereas the other two, for sine and cosine, were brackets because you were including those endpoints. So those are your 3 graphs that you need to have memorized. And now we're going to go to values. Really, again, this is memorization. You can think unit circle, like a restricted unit circle, and do those values. You can memorize those graphs, but those should be an easy couple points to start with on the test.